To maintain a sketchbook, you actually don't have to go out in the field. That's just something personal that I like. I like to be in nature and draw trees and landscapes, but that's not for everybody. But if you do, then I have a big hat and a small chair. So this is like a fishing stool. I can pull it apart completely, so it will fit in my purse, and it's very light. I can really carry it with me without any problem, and it's sturdy. I love this. Find your own things that you find helpful for you. Now, of course, this is perfect because I don't need an umbrella. I just can have one big hat and I'm in the shade wherever I go. The bad part is that it is very windy in Florida often, so that hat is not too practical. But you know, sometimes on some days it is the most beautiful thing you can have. I have many different sketchbooks. I have very small ones that, you know, I take on the plane, and I can draw something, although that's really not that easy. I have sketchbooks that start like 20 years ago. This is 2007, and it goes on until now, and I pick it up again and I continue it. These are, I write a lot too, but not always in the same book. So these become really treasures for me, and so it will be for you. I found this book. I loved the looks of it. I think you still can find them in bookstores, I don't know. The paper is also important. I got this paper. It's not really, I put watercolor in it, but it's not really taking it that well. So look at what it can handle. It's very often good for pen and ink drawings, but as soon as you start with heavy watercolor, it might be a different look altogether. Again, I have another one, a leather bound. This is rice paper, and it does not take the water at all very well. So what I did was, I only use, it's bleeding a lot. I only use pen and ink. So let's look at the paper a little bit and then see what you want to do with your sketchbook. And start with one, and then, just like me, develop a lot. When you go out with certain materials, you pick and choose whatever you want. There are some that the paper is really thick and smooth, and then you can really use all kinds of materials with that. These are actually the best. So find one that suits your needs. Like I said, when I go in the fields, I have my little pouch, and I go wherever I want to go. If you don't want to do that, because it's not, people are curious what you're doing, and very often they don't allow you to observe the world, then you can stay home and make sketches of your interior. A travel through your room can be as interesting as gorgeous drawings of Paris, for example. Let's look at the demonstration and we'll go from there. Here I'm going to demonstrate a pen and ink drawing, how I do it in my sketchbook. The paper is a drawing quality, but it's a thick quality. It's not watercolor paper. I want for the micron a smooth kind of paper. But I start with a graphite pencil. I like those because they can make beautiful points, and the points stay good for a long time. At a very early stage, I am putting in the watercolor so it can dry. I want to go over it later, and you will see that I build it up very slowly with the watercolor, and then the graphite, and then the micron. I'm using a micron pen, very fine, 005, but I'm building it up very slowly with gradually adding parts of the watercolor, like the values, that the leaves are dark, the flowers are white, the background is busy, so I'm making it, I don't know if I will make it light or dark, I'm not sure yet, so that will be visible over time when we're building it. See what you can do with the graphite pencil. It's very sharp lines. I love that. I'm sure you can do that with regular pencil as well, but this has just more graphite in it. And I love it for that reason. I leave the watercolor to dry, but I'm also having a paper towel handy so I can lift it up, because I still don't know if I want to do this part darker or light. I'm not really sure. Definitely I want the background to blend. The leaves are the darkest. So I don't want to have strong images in the background. It has to be blurred. But again, I'm not really sure where it's going yet. I know my composition, that's all I know. And I also know that the watercolor needs to dry thoroughly for me to go over with a pen later. It takes a long time. These drawings take 2 or 3 hours for me to make. It's very fine. And you can probably use a fatter micron, but I'm not really sure if that will help you. You can also do more watercolor and less micron. What I'm trying to do here with the micron is stopped because the watercolor is still too wet. So that will teach me not to go too fast. You can also walk away actually and then let it dry and then come back later. Now, if you do that, you know that the sunlight, the natural light already has changed. It's tedious. I go very fast. Don't do that in the beginning. Do it really one line at a time because you want to be in control of the shading. This is definitely shading, hatching, and cross hatching. And I want to have some time to reflect on what I really did. So now this is dry. I can go over it. And I see the grain of the leaf. And I'm not sure, it's probably lighter than the leaf itself. So I might want to go almost to the line, but not necessarily reaching it. So I create a little lighter shape. But at least it's there. And while I'm going somewhere else now with the micron, I can think about it. And that's so for all of them. The values are there, but I need to make the decision if I want to have it lighter or darker. And while I'm going at another place in the drawing, I am thinking about the other parts that are not finished yet. So this is how I make most of my drawings. I build them slowly. Even if it's colored pencil, I build them slowly. It looks fast, of course, in the video because I want to show it fast to you. But this is not fast. And I would really suggest you take your time as well. Stand back, look at it, scan the whole drawing at all times. What does it need? Is it too dark? Is it too light? Is it not defined enough? Think about the edges. Are the edges sharp or are they blurred, like in this case with the lily going into the background, although it is a fairly sharp line, it's not as defined as when I go over it with Micron. These are all choices that you're going to make. Relationships are very important to look at all time. What is the point of the leaf? Leaves, maybe. How far are they apart? If you scan your whole still life at all time, you can adjust while you are drawing. And nothing is set in stone until you say it's finished. It looks like it's very defined already, but it's not really. That's why when you build it up, see, now I have my veins and the leaves lighter. They're not dark, they're lighter than the leaf itself. So these are decisions that I'm making while I'm drawing. You can also do cityscapes with the combination of watercolor and pen, or pen and ink. Or you can go into the field and draw trees. And I know that you guys are dying to know how to draw trees. When you're outside, it's very overwhelming. So start slow with pencil drawing and look at everything you see, squinting your eyes. Make an outline, have an HB pencil ready, scan everything you see. This takes a long time. Actually, the pen and ink itself doesn't, that's filling it in basically. So here I am with a couple of oak trees, Spanish moss, and trees far away with a little pond. Again, the camera is having a problem focusing, but you know what I'm doing. Look at the negative spaces, squint, what is light, what is dark, and slowly build your composition. I would not be too picky of how it looks like, the composition, because this is a practice round anyway. The sky is easy, it's light, and then the rest has a value. Add the value with pencil pretty early on, even if it's just a little bit, so that you don't get lost in everything you see. Let's look at how and when I'm adding the Micron pen. So just like you build up the lilies or other complex drawings, you can make this a landscape. I did not use watercolor paint, but you could actually. Far away, if you just fill it in with watercolor, then you at least have a value, and then you're not getting lost that much. There's a lot of Spanish moss. I wish I would have taken a photograph of this so that you can see what I'm seeing. And by using watercolor wash, you get a little bit more the feeling of the whole composition. I take my time doing this. This is very important. And then with the Micron, as soon as you add that, you can, instead of hatching and cross hatching, go with the movement of the bark, go with the swirls of the Spanish moss instead of the parallel lines. I would use, though, the parallel lines to create a value far away, so that you at least have a feeling of a solid value and not all the leaves. You're not going to do all the leaves, but you're staying at the same place a little bit longer with your Micron when you want to make darker spots. That's how I tackle it. I think it also just takes practice, but the Spanish moss actually helps with getting your vertical lines, because from the Spanish moss you can see the negative shape in the sky. The sky is light, of course, and has a shape. When you get that and the shape between the two trees, and they're not next to one another, one is further away, then you're pretty good in your proportions. So take your time to set this all up. You can hatch and cross hatch a lot still with a pencil before you even start the micron, because the micron is unforgiving. I build it up slowly so I can always go over it later if I make a mistake or I want to change something. Follow this. If you have questions, let me know. But the best thing is to practice in the field yourself, and that's what we're going to do. Right here with the micron, I used the bark of the oaks as a way of hatching and cross hatching. So I'm not doing it with parallel lines. I'm really doing it with the texture, how I see it, and the same for the Spanish moss. Enjoy, and we're going to see at what you did in the field.